Hey everybody, this is Audra coming at you from Studio Blue. Today we're gonna do our abs, thighs, glutes class. We're not using any props today unless you want to. So if you have a mini band and you have mini band fever, you can absolutely use it, but you can opt out of using a mini band. You're still gonna get a nice bit of exercise. You're gonna feel those glutes, you're gonna feel the abs. Thank you so much for joining me today. And as always, if something doesn't feel right in your body, I don't want you to do it. Feel free to take breaks, listen to your body, and we're gonna get started. So on your back, knees bent, feet flat to start. So just kind of see where you are today. If you realize that your chin is elevating or your lower back is lifting, just kind of move a little bit and let your bones settle into the mat. Take your fingertips, place it right behind your skull, nod your chin, and kind of help elongate your neck a little bit. So you've got a little chin tuck happening. It's okay if we have a little double chin going on. Nobody's gonna see it. And then relax. Now, without really gripping through the front of your neck, I just want you to gently, at about 10% of your ability, just press your head into your mat and then relax. Try to keep the front of your throat nice and soft and relaxed as well. So just a little exhale and press. If you feel the front of your neck start to tense up, you've just pressed too hard. So once again, 10% really at most. We're just trying to get our deep neck cervical flexors to help. And if you need to, nod your chin again, just a little press and relax and press and relax. Now bring your fingertips towards the sky, nice straight arms. Let your arm bones relax down to the floor. Widen through your fingertips and reach them out really far away from you. Now think about reaching a little bit farther through your right arm, and you can take your nose to the left, just getting a little stretch through your pec. You might feel this in your bicep. And then come back to center, reach the other way. Good. So it's not about how far you can reach, it's about just feeling that stretch through your pec, possibly your anterior deltoid. Couple more, just back and forth. Think about reaching those fingertips long. Two more, just a little stretch and reach. And stretch and reach. Now go ahead and place your hands on your hip bones. And as we breathe, we're gonna start engaging our deep abdominals. So as you inhale, fill up your whole body with your oxygen. So breathing into your pelvis, breathing into your lower back, breathing into the sides of your ribs. And then as you exhale, think about your hip bones drawing together away from your hands. And then big inhale, inhale wide, inhaling into your sits bones, your sacrum. And then as you exhale, think about your hip bones drawing together, but then also if there's a hook below your belly button, drawing it in and up. So those deep abdominals are already engaging before we ever move. Big inhale, filling all of your space with oxygen. On your next exhale, think about those hip bones and then that hook, and we rock into a gentle imprint. Think about lengthening through the fronts of your thighs, softening your lower back towards the ground. It's not through force. And then rock your pelvis back to neutral. We don't need to go to an anterior tilt, just a nice neutral position. And again, exhale, drawing those hip bones together, lengthening through the front of your thighs. So if your pelvis was a plate with a marble on the center, when you imprint, you would be rolling the marble towards your face, and then neutral just towards the center of the plate. Good. Two more. Think about that imprint where your hip bones draw closer towards your face, and neutral is where your hip bones and pubic bone are on the same plane. Last one, we're gonna hold your imprint, and then think about dialing your hip bones back more, and then more, and then more until you peel up into your first bridge. First one never counts. So go ahead, just kind of check where your landmarks are. If your hip bones are diving forward and you've got a little bit of an arch, tuck, squeeze your glutes to get you up, and then take your hand, place it on your sternum. Inhale. Exhale, melt away from your hand. Keep melting away from your hand as you roll your entire spine down, ending with that nice neutral pelvis. Now you can bring that hand to the floor. Exhale, peel your spine up. And if you tend to use one glute and not the other, feel free to use your hands to create a little bit of biofeedback to tell your glutes to fire at the same time. Well, how do I know? Touch your buns and see, right? So softening through the ribs, imprinting, trying to use the abdominals, and then as your pelvis starts to peel, then think about those heels dragging towards you, knees away, glutes creating this buoyancy to help lift you up. And melt and roll down. We have one more. So peel and lift and hold. Making sure that your ribs are soft. You're just gonna squeeze your glutes and hold a little bit more, and then squeeze a little bit more, a little bit more. See if as you squeeze, you can find a nice stretch through the fronts of your thighs. Hip hinge halfway down, and then squeeze to bring yourself back up. Hip hinge, keeping that spine in one piece, and then squeeze to lift. Once again, think about those heels pressing down and then towards you to get those hamstrings to layer on. Yes, it is primarily glutes here, that is your prime mover, but they might not be able to do all of it themselves. So if you get those hamstrings to help, you're less likely to overuse your back. Still thinking about those hip bones drawing towards each other. 2, last one, hold. Try to keep your hip bones facing the same direction, float one leg to tabletop. Hinge halfway down, squeeze and lift. And again, hinge, think about that glute pushing you up, creating some buoyancy, trying not to grab through your neck or your shoulders. If you need to, you can have your palms facing the sky, collarbones wide. Hopefully you're feeling your glutes quite a bit here. We have 3 more. Trying to keep your hips nice and stable. 2, little hold, and then we squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. It's not about height, it's about activation. We have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Step that foot down, reconnect, float your other leg up, making sure you haven't started popping your ribs, sinking that sternum away from your face, hip hinge halfway down, and then squeeze to lift you back up, and then hip hinge, and then squeeze to lift. Good. Think about right where your sits bones meet as where that activation is going to come from, right? Yes, your glute medius on the side should also be working, but your prime mover here is your glute max. So it's that larger muscle. If as you move, you start trying to press through your spine, come down a little bit more, tuck that tailbone. We have 3, 2, hopefully this glute is working just as hard as the other one did. Last one, hold, and then squeeze a little bit more. Relax a fraction of the way, and then squeeze. Good. We're almost there. And by there, I mean to some other delightful destination. I promise. We have 4, 3, 2, 1. Step that foot down, roll it down. Go ahead and sway your knees to one side. Let your back relax. Think about sinking the ribs back, up and over other side. And then bring it back to center. Interlacing your hands to create a hammock shape. Bring your elbows slightly forward into your periphery. Nod your chin, lengthening through your ears. If your feet want to be wider than together, that is fine. Sink your ribs down, look at your knees. Inhale. Exhale, lengthen all the way through the crown of your head. We're starting slow, I know. But don't worry, you'll feel it soon. Exhale, sink the ribs down to let the sternum come up. Trying to maintain a neutral pelvis for as long as possible, and then back down. So remember, we're trying not to lever from the neck, right? We're levering from the ribs. We have 2 more here. And lengthen all the way down. And last one, hold, reach your fingertips forward. Imagine I'm pulling them, and then your hands can come up. Interlace and back down. Now notice, if you immediately start in an imprint, there's not really much of where you can go, right? You don't have a lot more distance you can travel. Whereas if you start in a neutral, and then you reach your fingertips forward, you can get a little bit more height as your spine gently imprints. Once again, you're using abdominal control to elicit this response, not just smashing the spine down. Last one like this. Reach it forward, hands can come up, interlace and down. Now find that nice in between. Hold. Take one hand, reach it down so it's pointing towards your shin. Now we're just going to imagine we're a bendy straw, a little corrugated straw. Reach towards your shin. Now elongate through both sides of your straw. That's it. And then same side. And then elongate through both sides. So we're not dipping to the opposite direction, right? It's a little side bend up and over. And then lengthen. Couple more. 2. And last one, trying to keep your hips nice and still, switch hands. So reach up and over so we're not just clunking through that side. And then we lengthen through both sides of the bendy straw. So we're going candy cane shape, straight line. Candy cane shape, straight line for 3, 2. If your hip bones start to wiggle, take a second. Imagine that your sacrum is filled with just a little bit of sand to help make it heavier. And last one, head comes down, both hands behind your head. Try to envision that both sides of your straw are nice and long. Feel your shoulder blades underneath you. Now just lift and look at one of your knees. So one of your shoulder blades is still barely tapping down. Lower down, through center, other side. And then lower down. And allow your sternum to point towards the outside of the knee, right? It's not about elbows or shoulders. It's about lifting and coming down. Now, instead of the down, okay, now if you need to, you can stick with that. Otherwise, we're coming up, lift a little higher. Now, keep both sides high, rotate, hold. Come back to center, rotate, hold. So now we're trying not to lower as we come back to center, and we're trying not to sink as we rotate. So we're keeping both sides of our straw long, and we're just coming into chest lift with rotation. 2. Last one like this. Hopefully your obliques are starting to talk and come down. Head can stay down. Bring one leg at a time to tabletop. Okay. So find your deep abdominals here. Think about narrowing through your hips. Think about that hook, and go ahead and let your lower back make contact with the mat. Now just sneak your knees away from you a little bit. Your toes will start to face the ground. Once you feel that weight transfer, drag your knees back up. Think about your legs connecting right here, right? This is where they connect at your ribs. So think about an airplane seatbelt, locking them in, and then they fold. Now you, of course, can come into your chest lift here. Chest lift here means that your rectus abdominis and your external obliques are going to help you a little bit more, but you might feel the work a little bit more as well. We have 3. Letting the thigh bones soften and sink in the socket when you come back up. And remember, it's not about range of motion. Activate and then move. Last one. Now bring your knees in, sink your belly button down, curl your tailbone toward your face, and then come back to center. Now the good news, if you're not using momentum, you can kind of hold it for a second. If you are using momentum, try to hold it, right? All of a sudden your whole body moves. Now you can stick with this. And of course, you can always put your head down, right? This is perfectly reasonable and fantastic. If as you curl, you realize you're pulling into your shoulders, flip your palms to face each other so your triceps can help you a little bit. Otherwise, tap the toes, bring the knees, and now we're gonna curl, aim your knees towards one of your shoulders. Come back, tap, bring it up, aim your knees towards your opposite shoulder and back. So now we're using our obliques, and instead of moving our shoulders, we're moving our hips. You'll probably feel this in a different portion of your obliques, right? Give me just a few more here. And if you can, pause and hold. You'll feel, oh, yep, that's where it's working. And then pause and hold. Try not to go past the point of no return. Last one, each side. Come back to center, head comes down, arms come into your T position. If you need to be in goalpost, you can, but shoulders drawing down, scooping your shoulder blades around. Close your ribs, squeeze your knees together like you have a diamond in between them, and you let one hip get nice and heavy. Now think about sinking those ribs down, drawing the knees back to center, and then other side. So once again, this is an oblique exercise. If you go a little too far and the knees shear or the back arches, you start just moving through your joints as opposed to the muscles. So don't be afraid to keep it a little small. If you'd like more work, hold, extend the legs, and then bring it back. And then bend, up and over, squeeze and freeze. Then we extend. Then we bring it back and bend again. Couple more. As the knees go out, try to keep that top knee reaching even longer than the bottom one. And bend, up and over, reach. So now we're rotating our pelvis even a little bit differently than we were before, still focusing on those obliques. So narrowing through the hip bones, softening the ribs. Last one. And then come back to center. Bend your knees, hug your knees in towards your chest. Feel free to stir your thigh bones in the socket. Now let your knees kind of fall in. Think about that thigh bone connecting in at your ribs, and we're gonna hug one knee in. Push the other leg away, and then bring it back in. Now, if you just kind of let it extend, chances are it's gonna move from wherever is strongest or dominant. So think about pushing it from your ribs, push, 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 like it's an arrow being shot, and you want it to go past the wall it's aiming at. Now, you can bring your hands behind your head, come into your chest lift. Push that foot away from you. Think about pushing it so far away that it helps lever you up a bit, and then fold. And then push, and then fold. Now, if you're ready for it, push, bend and curl. Push, just bend and curl. Now this is creating a little bit more momentum, but we're still creating that tiny little nugget shape. trying not to pull from the hip flexors. 2. Now this might be where you are today, and that's fine. Otherwise, if you'd like a little bit more, let's see what we can do. Now think about the leg that's staying stable, pushing it a little bit. Push that other leg. Now if you want, bring your hands forward, push, and see if you can roll. And push, and see if it'll let you roll up. First one never really counts, right? So you push and roll, and then control it down, push, roll, control it back, down. Last one. And then we get to do the other side. Start with that knee just down. Push that leg as far away from you as possible. You can let your head be heavy, no problem. If this is what feels right for you today, stay here. You don't have to do any other variation. But if you're ready for it, you can. So come into that chest lift. Push that foot away, away, away as kind of a way to lever you up, and then fold it in, and then push. And then when you're ready, you can allow that curl to happen. Curl, reconnect, push that foot away, curl, boom. Think about pushing that foot through sand, right? Wet sand. So there's a little bit of internal resistance happening as well. Now, if you're ready, don't worry, first one never counts. You can take this leg, think about that glute helping push it away, and you push, levering you up. Hands can come forward. See where you go, and then back down, and then push, and then back down. If you need to, can you use this thigh as well? Absolutely, right? You just use that little bicep connection as well. 2 more. Creating that tiny nugget shape. Last one. And then stay up. Both feet reach away from you. Hands reach away. Flex your feet. Bring your hands to your feet if that's applicable. You can soften your knees if you need to. If that's still too much, you can absolutely hold on to your shins. Otherwise, think about somebody you like coming up behind you and hugging you, creating that little bit of pull through your deep abdominals. Yes, your shoulders will move a little, that's okay. Using that deep abdominal connection, push through your heels, and then we roll all the way down to the ground. Let your arms only come so far overhead as feels comfortable. Now inhale, reach your hands toward your feet, and then exhale. See if you can come up. Now, roll-ups can be a challenge. If you need to, widen your feet. No problem, right? If you need to, use a pad underneath your lower back. Or you can even roll, bring your legs in, hands behind your thighs, bring it on up. 2 more like this. Think about your pelvis dialing back like a wheel. And then the arms keeping that nice closed connection with those ribs. Using your breath, allowing your spine to melt to the ground. Last one. Shoulder blades drawing down your back. And then we roll all the way back. Hug your knees in towards your chest. We're going to do a couple different variations of crisscross. And they're going to work a little bit differently. So just be aware, I'm going to be calling out some different stuff. So come into your chest lift first. Hands can come forward to get you a little bit higher. Hands come back behind your head. Use your glutes and hamstrings to help bring your knees to tabletop-ish. Push one foot away from you. Rotate towards that other side, trying not to sink down, but show your sternum to your knee. Inhale, exhale, switch sides. Pushing that foot as far away from you as possible. Inhale, exhale, switch sides, slow and controlled. Trying to feel your pelvis stay stable from side to side. Try to feel where your spine is rotating from. Couple more. Pushing that foot away from you, trying to connect it to the glute and inner thigh as well. Even though you're pushing it away, it's still got that internal resistance, like you're pushing a big couch away from you slowly. Last one, we're gonna hold it. So hold. Now only move your legs. Switch legs, hold. Now only move your legs, switch legs, hold. Only move your legs, switch legs, hold. And again, keep your chest still. Notice how it feels vastly different from side to side because those obliques have to connect differently. And we hold. Now only move your upper body, keep your lower body still. Now keep your body still, your lower body still as you move your upper body. Yes. Try to push that other foot away from you as you rotate your ribs only. Good. Exhale as you rotate. Try to keep that pelvis still. Almost there. Last one. Switch both. Boom. Now only move your legs. Switch. Only move your legs. Push away. Notice how it feels a little different from side to side. If you need to, put your head down. That's okay. You can just add a little rotation and press of that arm. We have one more set. Now hold. Now only move your upper body. Hi. And then only move your upper body. Bye. And then only move your upper body. Hello again. And then only move your upper body. Good. I don't know about you, but my abs are talking a lot. Two more. Last set. And then we hold. All right, now we're gonna do a little bit faster. 3, 2, squeeze, freeze, hold, hold, hold. And again, 3, 2, squeeze, freeze, hold, hold, hold. 3, 2, squeeze, freeze, hold, hold. And 3, 2, squeeze, freeze. Now you can stick with this or extend those legs, reach them away. 2, hold, 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 reach away. 2, and hold, 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 reach away. 3, 2, and hold, almost there. And 3, 2, and hold, hug your knees in towards your chest and gently rock from side to side. Hands behind your thighs. Press your thighs into your hands to help you roll on up. We're coming into a quadruped position, hands and knees. So I don't like to use the mat for my hands. You are welcome to. You are also welcome to kind of prop your hands up so your wrists are at an angle. Shoulder blades draw down your back. Hug your abs up and in, right? So it doesn't have to be a Halloween cat position, just a connected position. Slide one foot away from you. Squeeze that glute, push it away. Think about the glute initiating that movement and then bring it in. Other side, so you slide it out, push away. Good, and then bring it back in. Give me a few more. So as the leg slides, it's not about lifting up and down, it's about creating that tension rod of connection between your ribs, the foot, the glute, right? So if we lift too high up, notice how my back tries to do the work. So think about the abs hugging up so the back is nice and relaxed. You push, and then if you want, you can start adding the push of the opposite arm, right? So you're still creating that tension. Two more. Last set, try to keep both hip bones facing the same direction and back. Now tuck your toes under. Press down into the floor, trying to find that armpit ab connection. Push down with your feet too. Just curl your tailbone towards your face, making Halloween cat shape. And then back to center. Now press, creating that little curl Halloween cat shape, push down into your hands, lift your knees, barely hovering them, and then come back to center. Let's do it again. So we never have to go into our like 90s hip hop dance moves. We always want to keep the ribs nice and engaged. Press, curl, push, and then back down. Is it bad to be able to extend through our lumbar spine? No, not at all. But a lot of times, our lumbar spine is where our body tries to get that extension from. And so creating that extension from our thoracic and that flexion through our lumbar does our body good. Now, you can stick with that or slide one foot out, curl, look down, little plank, and then back down. And then curl, press. If you have wrist issues, can you come into your forearms? Of course, it's just a little trickier. Or if you have a couch nearby, you can bring your forearms onto a couch. Now, if you'd like a little bit more, float that leg up and then tap, and then float the leg up. Don't forget to squeeze the glute of the leg that's extended. It's tight like a laser beam. Last one, switch sides. So bring it in, slide it out. Good. Squeeze that glute, find that core connection. You can keep that toe down as you look down and then extend. And look and then extend. Good, give me a couple more. Little curl. You don't have to get very high. It can be a little hover. 3, 3, and 2. Last one. Bring both knees in, press yourself into a little rest position, rolling out your wrists. Let your armpit muscles open, climb your hands away from your knees. Now, go ahead, think about the shoulder blades drawing down your back. Press your hands into the floor, just look up a little bit, getting a little bit of extension through where the mid part of your shoulder blade is, not so much through your neck. So it's a look forward, not up. And then relax down. If you need to, you can be thumbs up, 7 up. Shoulder blades draw down your back, look forward a bit. Trying to get that little bit of lower trapezius engagement, because a lot of times if we're sitting, we get so much thoracic flexion that our lower trapezius, mid trapezius, and rhomboids are in kind of this locked long position, and they stop firing as well as they should. Last one. Good. And then relax. Take your hands up and over to one side. Let the outer hand reach a little bit farther. You can take that inner hand, wrap it around that wrist, pull the arm away from you, sinking your hips down and back. Big stretch. And then we do the other side. So up and over, other side. Take that hand and reach. We're going to do a little bit of side lying work. So go ahead and come onto your side, making sure that your back is lined up with your mat. If you have a pillow that you'd like to use, feel free. Otherwise, we're going to extend our arm out long. I like to bend my elbow. Make sure your feet are basically in line with your sits bones, nice, like long spine, right? So sneak your hand underneath your rib. Make sure that you're just barely hovering. Good. So there should be like a little lift, but not a brace. It can be a little mouse cottage, but maybe not a townhome. Think about those ribs sinking and making sure we're not tucking. So our pelvis is still in neutral. So you can look, oh look, from sternum to pelvis, neutral. Now lift the knees or feet, knees stay down. If your hip came forward, slide it down towards your heels. Now think about that thigh bone spiraling in the socket as you come into a clamshell and hold. Now if you rocked back as at the end of the world, No, but it kind of directs the move differently. So we're going to squeeze and lift. Think about reaching that knee forward and up. Also, if this is where you really want to use your mini band, I say go for it. I would bring it above the thighs. Nice little clamshell, and you can keep those heels together if you like. So squeeze the glute. If you need to reconnect and find that glute activation, that's fine. We have 4, 3, 2 more. And then last one, hold it up. So just squeeze and hold. Keep squeezing. Think about that glute being the initiator of that rotation for 5, 4, just holding, 3, just holding, 2, we're almost there, and now tiny little movement. So just squeeze and squeeze and squeeze and squeeze and squeeze, and 5, 4, think about those glutes high-fiving each other, 3, 2, 1, bring the knee down, both feet come down, reconnect. So it's like you're sitting in a chair. So if your feet are too far away or you're really hunkered in, let it be closer to 90 degrees. Think about that top hip bone reaching forward just a little bit, widening through your sits bones, abduction time. Hold, 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 and slowly lower. Good, so you squeeze concentrically to get it up there. Isometric hold, eccentric lower, and then squeeze and hold, and slow lower. Hopefully, the more we do, the more your glutes are gonna talk. We have 5. And 5. Letting that thigh bone just kind of sink in the socket. 4. If you start feeling the front of your hip taking over, reconnect. Think about that glute initiating. 3 more sets of 2. If you need a break, can you take one? Of course, always. Almost there. And now we lift and hold. Hold, hold, hold. Oh, are we moving? No, we're gonna hold everything in. Abs, glutes, now tiny squeezes. Boom, boom, boom. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Bring it down, smack that hip out, extend that leg long. So if you are trying to arch to protect yourself, lengthen that hip away. Now we're levering from here, not here. So just relax the foot, brush it up the wall. Hold, flex the foot, squeegee it down. So if you go up really high, you might notice your ribs sink, right? So think more about pushing the foot away, letting the thigh bone sink in the socket, and keeping that spine still because we're using our core, right? And our core, at least for our pelvis and lumbar spine, isn't just like ab muscles. It is ab muscles, but it's also our lumbar multifidus, which are tiny, tiny little stabilizer muscles. And it's even less about the superficial muscles we feel and more about like our transverse abdominis and internal obliques. Now we're gonna hold this one up and tiny little squeezes. Good. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and we circle, circle. Think about that glute max, bringing it back, right? It's not about that hip moving. It's no hula dance, unfortunately. Think about the glute lengthening through the front of the thigh. 3, relaxing your neck and shoulders. 2, last one, switch directions. 5, 4, 3, 2, bring the knees together, smack that hip out. We're going to come onto our forearm for a second. Now, this is going to take a little finagling. Bring that knee forward more. That leg goes back. And now holding yourself up, if you start sinking into like slumber party shoulder, think about your armpit muscle helping you as well as those obliques. Keep that leg bent and we just lift and lower. Lift and lower. So it's another abduction, abduction, right? Taking away from the body, but it's a different position, so it's working different fibers of those muscles. I think it's exciting. Hopefully you do too. We have 5 more. 4, trying not to let yourself sink, right? So keep checking, making sure that bottom oblique, that bottom serratus is doing its job as well as the top glutes. 2, and hold tiny squeezes. 5, 4, 3. Now all we're gonna do, exact same move, we're just changing the position of our torso. So now elbows come down. If you need to, you can move a little bit, it's okay. Squeeze and lift. Notice how now it's still different muscle fibers than it was before. And all it took was rotating our upper body a little bit. We have 5 and 4 and 3. Almost there. 2 more. Last one, and we hold tiny squeezes. 5, 4, 3. You're amazing. Heart of a champion. And last one. Bring it down, smack that hip out if you need to. Otherwise, we're going to lie back down, extend your feet on the angle. So notice how I am not fully like flat. Now, if you look at my feet, they should be together. And now close the ribs a little, rock back just a hair. So you're not on your bone, but on your flesh. Now use your hand if you like, still lift that rib, press, lift both legs. And then back down. So now it's obliques again. And if you lift your head each time, just support it, it's okay. We have 5, 4. Now when we get to 1, you can either stick with this or you can add on. So if you add on, you then rock onto your back, coming into a hundreds position, and then rock back onto your side, and then lower. Then you lift, rock back, coming into your hundreds position. Now, if you want, you can just support your head the whole time, but it's still that same kind of hollow body position. And then back, 3 more. Trying to keep it all moving together. 2. If you start sinking, feel free to reach your hands forward. It's okay. It'll be our little secret, I promise. And then if you want, you can roll up into a teaser. If you don't want, you don't have to. And then we get to do the other side. So I'm gonna turn over. Lengthen everything out nice and long. Heels in line with your sits bones, making sure you're not thrusting your ribs forward, maintaining that nice neutral pelvis. So glance down, everything look pretty neutral. Great. Lift your feet, squeeze, starting with clamshells. So if you rocked back, try to come back to neutral. Sneak your hand underneath you to see if your ribs are crushing down or if they are stabilizing you. Yeah. And as that thigh bone comes up, it's a spiral in the socket. That rotation is initiated from that glute. If you tend to be really TFL dominant, even though this should not technically be a move that the TFL does, sometimes it gets overly excited and tries to help, right? So if that's the case, feel free to touch the glute, touch the muscle you want to work. Tell it, hey, this is where this should be originating from. We have 3 more. Making sure you do a little hold at the top. If you need to, you can always bring your feet down. 2, Last one, and we get to hold, and then tiny little ones. And little squeeze. So once again, it's less about where the knee is going and more about just squeezing that glute. Good. We have 5, and we have 4. Squeeze that glute, and our knees come down. Bring it down, bring your feet down, slide them forward. So once again, if they're anywhere but 90, try to bring them back like you're sitting in a chair. Slide that top hip bone down, lift the ribs, but without gripping or force. And then we widen through our sits bones, come into that abduction, squeeze at the top, keep that glute engaged as we slowly lower the knee. So concentric, boom, hold. Isometric, yes. Squeeze it on the way down. Eccentric, yeah. We have our full muscle action spectrum accounted for. Now I know you probably want to see what your knees are doing. I say take a quick little glance and then look forward again, right? So if we start just looking down, our whole spine responds to it and it changes the way our muscles activate. We have just a few more here. 4 and 3. Really think about that glute initiating. It's less about range of motion and more about activation. 2. Last one, we get to hold, hold, hold. Keep squeezing that glute, and then tiny ones. Boom, 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 boom. 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one, bring it down, smack that hip out, extend your leg away from you. Now, once again, making sure that the hip is lengthening away. Imagine that I'm coming and pulling your foot, and then you've got this nice space, letting that thigh bone sink in the socket, and then squeegee it down. So you float the leg up, pushing it away from you, and squeegee. And you're welcome to keep your hand on your hip bone, just kind of as a guide, right? So if you notice that your hand is moving a lot, chances are you're moving from your spine. Now, do you have to keep 100% stable at any cost? No, no, no. If you find that you're bracing and gripping, it's better to like keep it a little slower, a little smaller, a little softer. 2 more. But still as stable as possible. And we hold it up and we do tiny little squeezes. 5, almost there, try to let the thigh bone move. 4, 3, 2, and we circle. Good, think about that glute initiating that drawback of the foot. Yes, the foot can trace a little clock face, but it's more about the upper thigh bone stirring in the socket, and then the foot responds. 4 more. 3, 2, and we reverse it. And notice how it feels a little bit different as it reverses. We have 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, bring that leg in and down, smack that hip out. We're coming up to our elbow here. Now you might have to just change your position a little bit, making sure that you're not sinking, but lifting up. That leg can come behind, and we hold, and we just squeeze and come on down. Once again, if you sink into it, take a second, let that glute relax, elevate from that armpit muscle, that serratus anterior, that oblique. Relaxing the shoulder. Notice, I like to have my palm up. It's because if my palm is down, it's actually causing me to internally rotate through my shoulder. So palm up can create a more neutral and less tense shoulder position. Now, does that mean that that's what you need? Not necessarily, but if you tend towards an internal rotation, Try it, see if it feels better. 2. Last one, we're gonna hold. Tiny squeezes, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it down. Let's rotate. And if you're like, ooh, I can't quite get into that position, let your legs respond, and then squeeze and tap, and squeeze and tap. Now, it might be very obvious to you when you're in these positions that maybe you rotate better to one side than the other. That's okay. Don't force it, right? So if you have a side that has some restrictions with your rotation, just breathe and try to say, relax, it's okay. 3, 2 more. Last one, we hold tiny squeezes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it down, lie back down, extend your legs. So you're in kind of a piked position, right? So you're not in one long line, but your hips are back. Check out your feet. Are they together or are they apart? Hopefully together. Then you close your ribs, rock back onto your honkles, and then we lift and come down. So try not to just make that spine move, but connect through those obliques, pushing your feet away from you, and then back down. And then push them away. Find that connection between your hip bones as well. If this is uncomfortable for any reason, don't do it. If it's just that you're on your bone and you're like, oh, that feels bad, pad yourself and you can rock back a little bit more, right? You don't have to stay on your bone. We have 3 more like this. Now, if you want to stay here, please do. Otherwise, we're going to lift, rock back. Once again, it's like that hundreds position, so you can even reach your fingertips forward and then come back and down. If you get there and you're like, okay, cool, I really just want to keep supporting my head the whole time, that's fine. It just makes it a little bit trickier. And lift, think about those feet pushing away. You guys, we are almost there. And lift, and then push, and 4, and 3. Keep those feet together if you can. If you can't, it's not the end of the world. Just do what you can. If you need to, reach your hands forward. Last one. And if you want that teaser, of course, go for it. Otherwise, everybody hug your knees in toward your chest and gently rock from side to side. Go ahead, take your hands behind your thighs, roll on up. We're actually coming back into our quadruped position. Okay, we're gonna do one more plank set. Now, I'm gonna come onto my forearms. Please join me, unless you just love hand planks, and in which case do a full plank, that's great. Forearms down, lengthen through the crown of your head, squeeze your glutes, lift up, and lengthen through the crown of your head. Now, if you're in a forearm plank, you might have to think of your hips being a little bit higher, and that's okay. Widen your feet just a little bit. Let one hip just be a little heavy. Come back to center. Other hip just a little bit heavy. Come back to center. And a little dip and back. And dip and back. 3. Coming on back. Squeeze those glutes. Think about laser beams. 2. Now, if you're ready, we're coming into a side plank. So keeping those feet apart, side plank. Squeeze this bottom glute, top inner thigh, bottom oblique, and then we rock back. And then other side. Once again, bottom glute helps lift, bottom armpit muscle helps lift, top inner thigh. Or you can be here, no problem. We're just going from side to side slowly and in a controlled fashion a couple more times. Last one, each side. And then come onto your bellies. Now go ahead, extend your arms. Go ahead, come into your thumbs up, 7 up position. Shoulder blades come down. Lengthen through the crown of your head, hug your abs up towards your spine so you're not cranking through your back, right? Nice relaxed back position. Glutes can be gently active. Think about that shoulder blade drawing down your back to allow that thumb to lift. And then other side. Now, if this feels bad or you feel it in your neck and shoulder, instead of thinking of that arm coming up, think about that shoulder blade drawing down, armpit muscle opening. Maybe the hand comes up, maybe it doesn't. That's okay too. As we do this, you might start getting a little bit more movement. Now, if this is easy for you, palms down, shoulder blades down. We inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. If you start really wobbling, you can do 1 at a time while still making connection to the floor. 2 more breaths. Last one. Hands down, press yourselves into a rest position. Letting your whole back relax, letting your head relax, letting your neck relax. And breathe. Breathe into your back. Breathe into your hips. And we're just going to do a little bit of rotation. It should feel good, not bad. Come onto your hands. One hand, touch your shoulder. And then I'm going to face this way so you can see me a little bit better. So we're just going to let this elbow kind of rotate down and then rotate back. If it feels good, open up your chest to the side and then rotate it down and then rotate it out to the side. If that doesn't feel great, you can absolutely just give yourself a little hug, still focusing on that thoracic rotation. 2, shoulder blades draw down your back. Last one, and then we get to do that other side. So start with the hand on your shoulder, let it dip down, and then as you rotate, breathe. Just feel where your body is potentially holding tension and then encourage it to relax. That was some challenging work, you guys. If you made it even like halfway through that, I'm so proud of you. And if you only made it a third of the way through that, or a quarter of the way through that, I'm still proud of you. Sometimes showing up is the hardest part, right? And if you had to opt out of anything, I'm glad you listened to your body. One more rotation. And then come back to center. And we're just gonna bring our shoulders to our ears and relax them down. And one more. Thank you so much for joining me. We are done. I hope you have a great, great, great rest of your week. And I hope to see you next Wednesday. I'll see you soon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are amazing.